Hello. Today I'll be testing this generator with the assortment of tools you can see here. This is one of those under 50-pound two-stroke generators that you can just bring with you wherever. They're actually pretty useful, but they're always grossly overrated. I mean, this one claims 1,000 watts, but I mean, even the Harbor Freight ones that are pretty much a clone of this don't lie to you that much. I'd not really pull more than 750 watts out of this. I got this from Facebook, actually. I got it for $30. And as you can see, it's a much nicer unit than the ones you can buy for $100 from Harbor Freight. It has 12 volts. It has a lamp, which is pretty interesting. And Jesus, that is loud. But today we're going to test how well it can make those 750 watts. So I will bring this outside and start it so you can hear what I'm saying and see what's going on. Here we are on the outside of the garage. It's very impressive how quiet it is for its size. I mean, it's a two-stroke, so you'd expect it to be fairly loud, but it's not. Inside now with the cable, you can see we have at least power. So it claims 15% steady state voltage and 1.5% frequency. Let's see if that's the case, at least with this in the beginning. So if we hook this up, it is accurate. That's standard expected frequency. Well, then 15% without doing the math. The only concerning thing is the frequency is actually pretty high, so it won't work with any clocks or anything like that. So as long as it's not frequency dependent, it should do fine. Now, so we're going to stick some wires in and see what kind of waveform this outputs, to see what kind of quality it has, to make sure that your electronics or lamps or whatever you bother plugging in will be able to handle it and survive. This is one of those dime a dozen, you pay the Chinese manufacturer or whatever and they'll put your name on it ones. It probably comes from the same factory as the Harbor Freight ones, actually. So this one just has a few more bells and whistles, which obviously makes it cost slightly more than $100 or whatever it is that they usually charge. And I mean, it's just outside right now, but it's impressively quiet. Like, I don't fear worrying the neighbors or anything like that. Hold on, I'm having... Now that we have it hooked up and the probe is actually in ×10 mode, you can see what the waveform looks like. It's a very noisy wave, actually. Each division here is 10 volts times 10, so it's 200 volts peak to peak, which is actually slightly higher than what it should be. I'll actually take a screenshot and put this in the video. We have it going up to 200 volts peak to peak each way, with quite a bit of noise under no load. And it's running at a very high 63.5 hertz. So far, it's not terrible. I mean, most electronics can handle this because all of your switch mode supplies just regulate it to DC and just run off of that. So this is acceptable. I have a work light plugged in. This is, I believe, 500 watts. So when we turn this on, here we can see the voltage smooths out to a nice 170 at the peak of it, which is what it should be. Only 96 volts, but the noise is a lot smoother, although it's still not a nice sign. This lamp is actually pulling 60 watts, which may be a result of it. Oh, this generator is performing oddly. What's up with that? That's no good. Now that I've got fresh gas, let's try it again. And I'll be putting it through its paces to see what's the minimum amount of money you need to spend to get this safe to run electronics off of. This time I have a much longer cord that will be doing it further away from the house. Here we have a no load, 10 volts peak to peak times 10. So peak to peak, 400 volts, 200 from 0. Not really a big deal, especially if you have electronics that are meant to run off either 240 or 110, or whatever the new standard is. I don't know about those Europeans. Under half load, it dips down to 0, and then jumps back up. It's a load of 300 volts, so yeah, you can comfortably rate that as half load. It smooths out a lot, and the voltage calms down to what you should expect from there. The RMS voltage is quite a bit lower than what most people would be comfortable with at 94 volts. But it's not terrible. Let's see what it looks like when it turns off. Yeah, there appears to be no dramatic shift in frequency. And so here we have it. On, dips, and then recovers to a steady voltage a little bit lower than one might be happy with. If we put it on scanning, we should be able to see it better. On, and then off. No major spiking, thankfully. Then on, and off. Although there does appear to be a very so you can get a spike if you're not careful. When the load is clicked off, you can see a bit of a rise above 200 peak to peak, but it's very well managed. Right now with no load, the generator is running at 130 volts. Clicking on the load brings it down to about 100. Clicking it off, it doesn't sample quick enough, but it really doesn't seem to surpass anything unreasonable. Now I have two lights hooked up to the generator. Both of these should be 300 watts or something similar, and I have it hooked up through a Harbor Freight surge protector actually. So while you're buying your generator at Harbor Freight, you should be able to check it out. So if we turn it on, you can see that the waves are pretty much matched identically. When I turn on the original light, there seems to be a very closely matched wave, but let's see if we can get a spike. And we did have a little bit of a spike there, but nothing much. Although I have a scope on the other side of the protector and I'm not seeing much of a change either. We did have a very brief spike there. Although really, I think it should clamp it on both sides or whatever. see. When we turn on the second lamp, they both dim significantly. The load is claimed 100 watts. Voltage is dipped down to 25. Miserable. Let's try loading up 600 watts at once. Load. So as you can see, there may be a lot of losses in the cable. I've bypassed the cord. The generator doesn't seem to produce too many spikes, and the only ones that I've been able to get don't even pass 100. No matter how hard I try with one or two lamps, which total up a claimed 600 watts, even the spikes that I'm able to produce don't exceed about 300 volts. So there shouldn't ever be a real issue with your electronics. And all possibility of spiking seems to completely disappear when it's going from one load to another. So switching to no load produces the possibility of a spike, but it does not seem to be an issue, even not enough of an issue for the surge protector to do anything about it. So in conclusion, this little generator really isn't bad. It's horribly overrated no matter where you get it from. I mean, really, I'm not sure if it's that my generator's a bit weak right now or something needs tuning, but I really wouldn't pull more than 500 watts out of it, nowhere near the 1,000 watts that it's rated at. For its size, I mean, I don't think you can really get anything better for it. I mean, you're not going to be able to pull much more energy no matter what brand or thing you choose for this form factor. So if you need something like cheap and you just need a little bit of power, it's perfect. Just make sure you keep it away from anything that the smoke will bother. Definitely worth the buy if you can get it used for cheaper.